Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Boon of Wireless Podcast. I'm Jon Horovitz, founder and president of Atrium Unlimited Consulting, coming to you, as always, high above the streets in northern New Jersey at ANJ Media. Yes, New Jersey, where the highest point in our state is actually called High Point. Yes, we are very creative here, and it's located in High Point State Park, 1,803 feet above sea level. The low point in our state is up for debate. But I grew up 3 miles from our state capital of Trenton, so that city gets my vote as the low point. Oh, come on. You know I love New Jersey and the people of Trenton. Hey, when George Washington crossed the Delaware River and ended up in Trenton and surprised the British in 1776, it was Trenton, New Jersey. And we also have 25 Shake Shack restaurants in New Jersey. More on that in a minute. Andrew, behind the glass, it is always great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well, John.
Thank you. Have you been to Trenton, New Jersey, our capital?
Once.
Okay. And where did you go?
Chambersburg.
Chambersburg brings up a lot of memories back for me in high school for reasons that we're not going to talk about today. Okay. My guest today is a legend and a household name in many areas. In 1985, at the age of 27, Danny Meyer opened his first restaurant, Union Square Café in New York City, launching what would become a lifelong career in hospitality. Danny's Union Square Hospitality Group comprises some of New York's most beloved and acclaimed restaurants, including Union Square Café, Gramercy Tavern, The Modern, Maialino, and many more. Danny founded Shake Shack, the modern-day roadside burger restaurant, which became a public company in 2015 and now boasts over 400 locations worldwide, including the aforementioned 25 in New Jersey. Under Danny's leadership, Union Square Hospitality Group is renowned not only for its acclaimed restaurants, but also for its distinctive and celebrated culture of enlightened hospitality. And that's why Danny is here with us today on the Boon of Wireless. The guiding principle of prioritizing employees first and foremost has driven and shaped Union Square Hospitality Group's ongoing evolution from a small group of restaurants to a multifaceted hospitality organization. A celebrated speaker and educator, Danny has set industry standards in areas such as hiring practices, innovative leadership, and corporate responsibility, and addresses a wide range of audiences on such topics around the country. Danny has been generously recognized for his leadership and business achievements, including the 2017 Julia Child Award and the 2015 Time 100 Most Influential People list, and many, many other awards. Danny and Union Square's restaurants and individuals have won an unprecedented 28 James Beards Awards, including Outstanding Restaurateur and Who's Who of Food and Beverages in America. Danny's New York Times bestseller, Setting the Table, articulates a set of signature business and life principles that translate to a wide range of industries like wireless mobility. From the opening night at Union Square Cafe to the evolution of Shake Shack, Danny writes about the wonderful successes and his humbling mistakes he's experienced along the way. Finally, I have had the honor, and I say honor, of knowing Danny for over 40 years, and I've enjoyed many countless meals at his restaurants as well as Shake Shacks across the country. So please join me in welcoming our very special guest and my good friend, Danny Meyer. Danny, it is so good to see you.
Boy, I don't know how I'm going to live up to all that stuff you just said about me, but I'm going to have fun talking with you, John.
As always, we've known each other a very long time. We rarely talk business. It's more of a social thing, and I am so glad that you took time out of your very busy schedule to join us today. Oh, our phone lines are lighting up on why are we having a renowned food and restaurant guy on a wireless telecom podcast? I think I know the answer. Danny, we both have a secret sauce. I am a wireless and MVNO expert, and I know what I need to do, but I don't think you're going to tell us your secret sauce today of what goes into a Shake Shack burger. So we'll just leave it at that. Okay. Why don't we just start by talking about some of the synergies across all industries when it comes to hospitality and serving your customers. In your book that I mentioned, Setting the Table, you have a couple quotes that really resonated with me. The first was, the only way a company can grow, stay true to its soul, and remain consistently successful is to attract, hire, and keep great people. It's that simple, and it's that hard. And the other one was, change works only when people believe it is happening for them, not to them. How does in our business, a retailer who sells wireless products and service successfully implement those type of strategies that you talk about?
I think the first is to realize something that took me many, many years to understand, and that is that service, which is the thing that we always say we want better service. We do. But I want to tell you what that means, and I'll tell you what it doesn't mean. Service is completely different than hospitality. And I think if we've learned one thing is that service is a way to describe the technical delivery of the product. Did you do what you said you were going to do? Does it work? And the funny thing is with service, anything that is in the technical realm of service, we lose points and we lose customers when we don't do it as people expected, but we don't gain the love of our customers just because we did what they expected. So the analogy I always make, John, is air conditioning. If you come to one of our restaurants and the air conditioning is not working, you're going to either have a horrible night, like I'm talking about in the summertime, you're either going to have a horrible time or you're going to get up and leave. If the air conditioning, and you're probably never going to come back, by the way, if the damn thing doesn't work. On the other hand, if it does work, you're not going to turn to your wife or whoever you're with and say, "Oh my God, honey, don't you love this place? They have the most delicious air conditioning in the world." So having your product work, in our case, cooking the food the way you asked for it to be cooked, getting it delivered to the right person, not coming to the table and say, "Who gets the chicken?" When we do all the things we're supposed to do, that only gets us to the 49-yard line. That's kind of depressing when you think that performing everything perfectly in terms of making the thing work, which is really hard. Can you believe how hard that only gets you a 49 on your test, which is a failing grade? That leaves 51 points for hospitality. Very different from service. Hospitality is, oh, by the way, how did we make you feel while we were making the thing work? Did we do things not that you expected, but things that you did not expect? Did we go over and beyond? Did we do remarkable things? And one of the things we've learned in our restaurants all these years, and I totally believe it applies to car dealerships, to wireless companies, hardware stores, anything, is the biggest compliment a customer can pay you is to say, "You are my favorite, fill in the blank." And the only way they say you're my favorite is you're really good at what you do and you're really amazing at how you make them feel. And so by separating service and hospitality and saying one is, I want to get 100 on my test, one is worth 49 points, and that one thing is table stakes. You do it, you got a chance to win the whole tournament. But you got to do the hospitality if you want me to love you.
I don't know if you remember this. About 8-9 years ago, I was with a friend in Central Jersey, and we went to a Shake Shack, and the air conditioner in the summer was not working, and it was miserable. And I knew one person at Shake Shack at the time, and that was you. And I texted you or sent you an email, and I know it was fixed that evening because you're absolutely right. I love Shake Shack. I love everything about it, the taste, the ambiance, the folks there are happy to be there. But it was not a fun experience for us. Yeah, so that's good. I appreciate you sharing that. We talk a lot about transferable skills, like if I'm changing jobs from wireless to pharmacy or whatever. You've got transferable skills. What have you seen in regards to taking tasks from one industry to another, especially with regards to hospitality?
Well, I think it gets back to what I was just saying, which is that when we hire people, we're hiring people 49% based on their technical skills and 51% based on their emotional skills, which we call, by the way, having a high HQ, having a high hospitality quotient. And I'll tell you what I mean in a second. And it really depends on the level of technical difficulty of the job. So, for example, if someone were coming to apply to work as a cook at Gramercy Tavern or the Modern, each one of which has Michelin stars, they're going to need to come with some pretty serious technical training. But we're still, even if it's the best pasta cook in the world, we're not hiring them unless they also have the 51% hospitality skills. If we're hiring someone whose primary job would be to be an hourly worker at Shake Shack, we're not asking to see their resume to prove, how expert they are at making milkshakes or cheeseburgers, because we believe we can teach that technical skill reasonably easily. What we are going to check out is who is this person in the work environment? Who will they be on a hospitality team? Are they going to be the kind of person that actually cares about making other people feel good? That's what someone with a high HQ is. They are actually motivated over and above the thing that they're really good at doing. They're motivated by how they make other people feel. So we do know how to teach technical skills. I will say that there are some technical skills in our company, especially in the front office, let's say, or in in our more highly refined culinary restaurants, where you do have to come with some very, very specific skills. But we think hospitality skills themselves are completely transferable to any industry in any possible way you can imagine.
Can you teach hospitality if you have the best pasta chef, as you said, or you have someone with great in the front end of your house, as you call it, the hostess, the bartenders, the servers, and they need some help in that area? Hospitality, they have a great resume. Can you teach hospitality?
You can definitely teach hospitality technique. What we've learned we cannot teach are the inherent emotional skills that people with a high HQ all have. And I'll name what the 6 are. We really think about this in a very focused way when we hire people. And when you hear these, John, you're going to go, that's obvious. I do that all the time. What I would say is, yes, but do you focus on these 6 things whenever you hire someone? And so the first one is kind optimism. Okay. You look at somebody's eyes, you can tell if they have kind eyes, because we've been using our eyes our entire life, and they've either been frowning and angry for our entire life, or worried for our entire life, or reasonably happy, And the reason I put in optimism, you got to have a team of people that believe that they actually could make someone's life better. Optimistic people are also hopeful. Hope is actually literally the root of the word hospitality. Okay. And people who are great at hospitality are not skeptical, cynical. They actually believe that they could make someone's life even better. So kind optimism, that's number 1. Number 2 is we're looking for people who are curious, people who look at every day as an opportunity to learn something new. They are learn-it-alls. We love learn-it-alls. We don't really like know-it-alls. Why is that important? Because especially in a competitive business, and I think most of us are in a competitive business, there's someone in our case who literally wants to eat our lunch every single day. We need curious people who are looking at each day as a way to actually do it a little bit better than we did it yesterday. The third one is work ethic. We can teach someone how we want the milkshake made. What we cannot teach them is how do you care about making that milkshake as well as you can possibly do it. There are some people who are always punctual. There are some people who are never punctual. I don't want that latter group. So work ethic is key. The fourth one, another obvious one, is empathy. Somebody who actually has the unique ability to be able to walk in someone else's shoes and ask, how would I feel if I were that person in that situation? And what can I do to make that person feel better? People who score high on empathy are also very aware of the wake that they leave in their own paths. If you imagine that each one of us is a boat going through life, we are each leaving a wake in our path. And we're making other people, it's kind of the other side of the coin of caring how someone else feels. It's also being aware and caring how you're making that other person feel. What is your wake doing to them? And then the next one is self-awareness. Self-awareness I define as having the ability to know what your own personal weather report is on any given day. And by the way, I know you well enough to know that you are generally and genuinely a happy person. That does not mean that every morning you wake up, it's 72 degrees and sunny with no humidity outside. And so in the same way that I literally look at the real weather report the night before so I can figure out what kind of clothes am I going to want to wear tomorrow, I think we can all look at our own weather report and say, how am I feeling today? Why? As I said earlier, hospitality is a team sport, and the way we are behaving is going to impact the rest of the team. Imagine, imagine a baseball player, a team of nine players. Imagine that person woke up on the wrong side of the bed and says, today I kind of feel like I'm going to strike out. And by the way, I'm going to, we call it skunking. I'm going to skunk the rest of the dugout. Skunk spray when they're angry, and everyone else within 5 miles has to smell it. I don't want to work with skunks. So self-awareness. And then the final one, obviously, maybe the most important, is integrity, which is having the judgment to do the right thing, even when it might not be in your own self-interest and even when no one else is looking. So now imagine in an otherwise challenging market to find talent for our business, probably for your business. Imagine that we actually only get 49% of the way there if we found the world's best grill cook or the world's best pizza maker, because we are requiring that we don't get to hire that person unless we also believe they have these emotional skills. And to your question, which I was wondering if I would ever get to it, to the answer, since we don't know how to teach otherwise unfriendly people to be friendly, since we don't know how to teach someone who does not have a good work ethic to have a good work ethic, or someone who's not self-aware to be self-aware, here's what we can do, and here's what we do. We're really, really good at teaching the people who do the hiring in our company how to ask the right questions to uncover these emotional skills in the first place. We're also really good at celebrating and catching people doing things right when they are unleashing these HQ emotional skills on the company. Most companies don't do that. Most companies only shine their light on you when you achieve, the cost structure that they're looking for, or the cost savings that they're looking for, or the labor savings that they're looking for. They don't know how to shine their light on people who delight other people with all these different ways.
But with that process that you just took me through, I know people are probably clamoring to work at your restaurants because they are the pinnacle of the restaurant scene here in New York City and elsewhere. How is your turnover? I have to assume that it's pretty low, the way that you vet people and put them in a great position to grow with your company. But do you have turnover? And I'm not asking if you hired the wrong person. I'm
We
saying,
definitely have turnover. Yeah, it's never as low as I would like it to be, but I'll tell you what it is. I would say that compared to the rest of our industry, our manager turnover is way, way lower than the rest of the industry. Let's take Union Square Cafe for a minute, which is going to be 40 years old any second. It's a long time. We are on our fourth chef in 40 years.
wow.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's not what I would call huge turnover. I do think that we have to acknowledge something. Number one, we do have turnover based on being in an industry that historically, especially because half of our employees are tipped employees, we're in an industry where a lot of people are using this as a stepping stone to the next thing they may want to do in their lifetime. And that's a good thing, right?
Yeah,
We have
it is.
people
It
who
is.
are aspiring actors and actresses, aspiring poets, aspiring midwives. We've seen that, all kinds of different aspirations, and they find that the time that they spend in our industry, they can make good money, pay their rent while they are actually pursuing something else. So we're never incredibly surprised or upset when those people move on. There's a flip side to what I was just saying about not having much chef turnover. I should have said Gramercy Tavern is 31 years old. Gramercy Tavern is on its second chef in 31
Wow.
years.
That's amazing.
So what does this tell you? The flip side of that is that a lot of cooks want to work in those restaurants. It's a great thing to have on your resume. I worked at Gramercy Tavern. But guess what? They know they're not probably going to be the chef. So they work there for 1, 2, 3 years. They have Gramercy Tavern on their resume, and then they go get a sous chef job at some other restaurant. So we always have that kind of endemic turnover. But the kind of turnover that drives me crazy is when we just made a hire we never should have made in the first place. And it's because somebody doing the hiring took their eye off the ball that you just heard me describing earlier. And so we actually give everybody in the company who is responsible for hiring a coffee mug that sits on their desk, and it has 3 letters on it. And the 3 letters are DFS. And that stands for don't settle. Every time we FS, we make a mistake. And by the way, the worst hire we can make is the one that I put in the category of whelming. An underwhelming hire, it's a mistake, but they usually get fired because they just weren't up to it. An overwhelming hire, amazing. We just celebrate those guys. The whelming hire is the person who never does anything bad enough to get hired, never does anything good enough to get a rave. They stay on the team and they set the bar incredibly low for everybody else. And your highest performers look at the whelmers and they go, I don't really believe what I'm hearing Danny talk about excellence in hospitality, because if he really meant it, why would that person still be on our team? So we do not have a perfect, we have an excellent batting average, and it's excellent because we focus on this stuff, but it is far from perfect.
I've worked for some major companies that I'm not going to mention, and I think sometimes they were too slow to pull the trigger on realizing that the company made a mistake in bringing an individual on, and they wait too long, and that's just I don't want to use the word cancer, but that just eats away, as you said, at the team when someone else needs to be consistently pulled up to meet the minimum. And so yeah, that's it. I'm wondering though, on these coffee mugs, when someone does make a bad hire, do you put a pencil in it and then see how you may do it?
Well, I make them put $1 in it.
There you go. All right. Let's switch gears. We talked about if you're a good leader, what we would talk about in the wireless industry and many other industries. If you're a good leader, you have transferable skills. You can lead a team. And I've said this before. If you've got a team of 5 people and your quota for the month is 100, you don't give them each 20. You give them each 25 as a good sales manager, because someone's going to fail and someone's going to exceed. But there are transferable skills about forecasting and managing conflict and all that kind of stuff that we all did. During the pandemic, you entered into a partnership with Clear. Those are the folks that move you through the airport security faster. What technology did you use? I never really had a chance to talk to you about that when it was going on. You embraced Clear to do something so your guests could come in and enjoy a meal at restaurants during one of the worst times that we've all lived through. What did you do?
So what we were doing with Clear during the pandemic was setting up a system at the front of the restaurant that would indicate, and we did this actually first with our staff members. You remember when the vaccines first came out in New York, there were, huge number of mortalities from the pandemic, and it was growing by the day. And the more it grew, the longer it was going to be for restaurants to be permitted to be reopened. We were all going to go out of business. We were all out of business for months. And so we were big proponents of getting our staff members vaccinated so that they would not have to be sent home and we'd have to close our restaurants again. And we were big proponents of our guests being vaccinated because we wanted our staff to stay safe. And by the way, in a restaurant, you may say, well, what was wrong with masks? Well, you can't very well eat your dinner or drink your glass of wine through a mask. And so during the time, in order to get restaurants back open, we wanted to make sure that our staff felt safe vis-a-vis the people they were serving, and we wanted our guests to feel safe vis-a-vis the people who were doing the serving. So you during those days could have gone to the Clear app and you could have uploaded your vaccination certificate. We all got them. That's all it was. And then Clear knew, oh, that's Danny and he is vaccinated, so he can come to work.
Did you have guests that came that made a reservation and weren't aware of that, or did you tell them up front that when you come here, we're going to
Yeah,
check out to see if
we
you're
were
vaccinated?
very upfront.
Okay.
And
Okay.
keep in mind, we're in a very different time 5 years later right now, where vaccinations have become so highly polarizing. Vaccinations were the liberation to allow businesses to get back open and to get people's lives up and going. Did we have people who didn't want to do it? Yes, but no one was surprised by the time they got there. And as a matter of fact, we did something else. We had a big kind of candy bowl like you see on Halloween, but instead of being full of little baby Hershey's and Kit Kats and whatever, M&Ms, it was full of these little lapel buttons that just simply said vaccinated. And you would not believe how many guests would come in and just put one on. We didn't require anyone to do that. They wanted the world to be vaccinated so they could get on with their lives.
What type of wireless technology do you use now in your restaurants and Shake Shack to communicate, supply chain? I mean, I know that you must be doing something from a technological standpoint that can resonate with our listeners.
Probably the biggest thing we do has to do with order taking. So when you come into the restaurant or in checking people in for their reservation, if you go to daily provisions, which we now have 12 of, and you see that there's a line of people who are coming in for breakfast, there's generally, or there should be, a manager who we call him the line buster, and they will come, they'll come into the line. They'll start with person number 3, and they'll say, "I'd love to take your order," and they've got a little kiosk or a handheld kiosk essentially, and they take your order. So that's one way. I think you've seen for sure in restaurants. It used to just be in Europe, but now instead of giving me your credit card if I'm a waiter, I'm paying my bill, instead of the waiter walking away to some mysterious place, people actually feel safer having a wireless device that the waiter brings over. So you never need to get rid of your card the entire time. We're actually taking it a step further right now and allowing people to get up and go and not take out a credit card. Almost the exact same thing that you can do when you take a ride share like Lyft or Uber,
Mm-hmm.
where you can just get up and leave the restaurant. All you have to do is register your credit card with us and say you want to opt into this. And then when you come to one of our restaurants, you can leave. And if you want to leave a tip, you can do that after you've left the restaurant.
Just like Uber and Lyft do.
Exactly. Because it's one of these friction points in a dining experience. I think you'd agree that you've all had experiences where it's like, where's my waiter? I just want to get out of here. And meanwhile, the waiter it's not fair to them because they can't be mind readers. I've seen waiters come to the table with the check and the guest goes, "What are you trying to rush me for?" So this puts all the power in the hand of the diner. So that's really good.
There's no arguing over the bill then either. It's already taken care of, right?
That's true. And you can register to split the bill with the person you came with as well. But we use tablets at Shake Shack for all kinds of things: training, daily checklists for food safety, inventory, time clocks with facial recognition. We have kiosks in almost all of our Shake Shacks at this point. So for people who choose not to order from a human being, they can order from a kiosk. So all kinds of different ways.
Obviously, we're in the retail business here, and like T-Mobile made an announcement a few months back that they want their customers to come into their stores and self-serve. Now, whatever the strategy is about that, some people, especially in our age group, the cohort of, us aging boomers, we like to go into a store and touch and feel and have something explained to us. And they're kind of taking the other um, direction, from what I understand. But thinking about, taking transferable skills and hospitality and everything we've talked about today, how does a retail store manager, and I look at Shake Shack as a retail location, but in my business, in our business in wireless, how can a store manager, what can they do to better welcome their customer when they walk in without thinking like, oh, I got the snake oil salesman here, or they're coming on too strong? What advice would you give to our people, whether it's the manager or the people behind the counter?
You use the expression so you don't come across as a snake oil salesman. None of us wants that person that is not being genuine, that you can tell they've got their hand in your pocket the second you've crossed the front door. And I think what we do want is to feel welcome. You're asked, it's a self-answering question. How do you make someone feel welcome? You make someone feel welcome by meeting them where they are and being genuine. And for me, it's very simple. We'd really try to train people on our team to use as few words as possible and use as much of your eyes and your ears as possible. Use your eyes, ears, and heart. What are your eyes, ears, and heart responsible for? You use your eyes to read the person and ask, what is the invisible sign they have hanging around their neck? Right? Everyone, we believe, we learned this a long time ago from one of our waitresses who used to work at Mary Kay Cosmetics. And Mary Kay, who made a fortune, taught people to read signs. And what she said is everyone is walking around with an invisible sign hanging around their neck that says, make me feel important. I've added something to that for our team, which is that the invisible sign has a subtitle that starts with the word buy. So I want people who have the emotional intelligence to be able to read your sign. You may walk in and it make me feel important by leaving me the hell alone. Or it could be make me feel important by answering 1,000% of my questions. Or it could be make me feel important by remembering that I was here 2 weeks ago and welcoming me back. But you start by using your eyes and your ears and your heart. The next thing is you still don't have to say anything to that person. You can simply use your eyes, smile with your eyes, smile with your mouth. Watch what they do. Watch what they do. People will almost always say something. Then when you feel compelled to say something, it's simply, I'm here and I hope you'll let me know if there's anything I can do for you. And then give them space. What you don't want is to be all over them like a glove, because people don't want to shop with someone on their shoulder. They just don't.
That's great advice, and I hope that our listeners and our viewers out there, especially in the retail environment, can take some of that stuff that you've given us today, because it really makes sense. I mean, there's nothing someone can say to you going, oh yeah, but what if? Because I think you've kind of, the secret sauce not only in your burgers, but the secret sauce on how you manage. I've watched, not from afar, I've watched up close how you've been successful in what you've done. So congratulations on that. In closing, as we're wrapping up here, anything new on the horizon for Union Square Hospitality Group that you can talk about? Or
Absolutely. I mean, I mentioned daily provisions before. Relative to Shake Shack, where there's now 650 in the world.
oh,
Um,
I was like that. I had
yeah,
400.
we like to understate and overdeliver, but daily provisions is quite small relative to that. There's only 12. In fact, we just opened our first one in New Jersey a little while ago, in Jersey City. We've opened one in Boston, but we're having a great time with it. It's a all-day neighborhood cafe. We definitely use wireless there for sure. We don't have waiters and waitresses there, but we've got an amazing egg sandwich. We have something called Crullers, which is the best best cinnamon donut you've ever had in your life. Sandwiches, salads. We've got incredible rotisserie chicken that a lot of people take home with them. So we're really having fun growing daily provisions. People are falling in love with it. And then I'm working on a second book. Setting the Table, which continues to sell, thankfully, is 19 years old right now.
Wow. Okay.
And this next book I'm working on will come out in a year. On the 20th anniversary. You would not accuse me of being a very prolific writer. 2 books in 20 years, but I'm really having fun writing this one. It's about so many of the lessons we've learned in the last 20 years. And I'll just close with this. 20 years ago, we did not have smartphones. I had one Shake Shack. We had not experienced the pandemic. So much has changed, and lots of lessons learned.
Good. Well, and things will continue to change, and I hope we can keep up with it. Setting the Table. If I wanted to buy a copy today, where would I find it?
Everywhere.
Okay, great.
Amazon's a good place to go.
Okay, Danny Meyer. I want to thank you for coming on. I know we've spent a lot of time socially and I've talked about the business, but this was a really good education for not only me. I hope that our wireless infrastructure can take what you've imparted today as to increase their business and increase their hiring. If I learned anything today, and I think hopefully my listeners and viewers did too, is the 6 points of hospitality. Let me see how good my memory is. Kind optimism. You've got curiosity, obviously work ethic, empathy, self-awareness, and again, most importantly, as you said, integrity can be in any business. And I think that we need to start looking at that to be the cornerstone of how we in the wireless business approach our customers, because it is very competitive, as you said, like most industries are. I also found out something new, that you think I'm a happy person. So thank you. I will take that from you. Danny, I've known you a long time, and I want my listeners out there to know that you're still the same guy that I met when you were 27 years old. And despite all of your well-deserved accolades and successes, talking to you is like talking to a guy that I used to hang out with, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever it was. And just so I'll just share one personal story. The week before Union Square opened up, you and your wife took the time to leave New York City and come down to Washington, D.C. for my wedding, which shows what kind of person you are. And that's something that we'll always take with us. So, Danny Meyer, my good friend, thank you for taking time today to come on the Boon of Wireless. I really hope that our viewers and listeners enjoyed it as much as I did. And we'll look for more good things coming from you. And that, folks, is going to wrap up another edition of the Boon of Wireless Podcast. As always, we'll see you next time. Do you want to be a guest on the Boon of Wireless Podcast? Give us a call at 908-THE-BOON. Yes, 908-843-2666.